Good evening, members. Welcome to this evening's meeting of North West Planning. We have some chairman's notices, all the usual ones, fire escape here. You are being recorded, and by being in the meeting, you are giving your permission to be recorded. To be included in the recording, we are being live streamed on Zoom as well as recorded. And please be careful of the different levels of flooring in the chamber. Please bear with me, obviously I have a certain competition which I will try to get through the business, but actually the welfare of officers and members is primary. My name is Councillor Maddie Thompson, I'm the chairman of this committee. Members, we're now working with the setup for the meeting as agreed at Council on the 2nd of September. Most aspects are back to the pre-COVID normal. However, some people will choose to wear a mask or take other measures, and I would ask you to respect that, please. When invited to speak, please turn on your microphone and speak clearly, referencing a page or paragraph number when referring to the agenda papers. Please keep your contributions as clear and concise as possible and ensure your microphones remain off when you are not speaking. That is important for the live stream. Right, apologies for absence, item 2. I have any apologies for absence, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Yes, we have received apologies from Councillor Durham and Councillor Jarvis.
Thank you. Right, item 3 is the minutes of the previous meeting. It's recommended that the minutes of the meeting held on the 8th of September, found on pages 7 to 10, are approved as a true and accurate record. I so move. Do I have a seconder for that motion, please? That would be Councillor Fleming. Just beat you to it. Does any member wish to raise any matter of accuracy? Would you indicate if you wish to speak? I am taking them as read. I do normally say that, but okay. May we agree those by assent, please? Okay, thank you very much. Right, declarations of interest, I'll read this out. To disclose the existence and nature of any disclosable pecuniary interests, other pecuniary interests or non-pecuniary interests relating to items of business on the agenda, having regard to paragraphs 6 to 8 inclusive of the Code of Conduct for members. And members are reminded they're also required to disclose any such interests as soon as they become aware, should the need arise through the meeting. Right, I've got a selection. I noticed this side first, so I'll go to Councillor Keys.
Good evening, Madam Chairman. I've got a non-pecuniary interest, which I think the majority of us have here. I did know the late Councillor Rodney Bass, and I did sat on Great Charlton Parish Council up until his passing, and I did various projects with him on lighting beacons and road closures and bits and pieces over my time on Great Charlton Parish Council.
Thank you. I think perhaps a general note that pretty much all members know. Yeah. It doesn't really count as an interest. Councillor White.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Non-pecuniary interest. I've worked with, or I had the agent for application 21-00824 has done work for us, but again, it's nothing to do with this application. It's just a non-pecuniary interest for.
Thank you. Who next? Councillor Fleming.
Thank you, Chairman. A non-pecuniary as a member of Essex County Council who are consultees for all the agenda items, and also a non-pecuniary for agenda item 5, as I know the parties involved. So I won't speak and I won't vote. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Did I see your hand, Councillor? I did. Thought I did.
Agenda item 7, again, my family and the Bass family know each other. That's very similar to Councillor Keys, but not
I think that applies to me as
I did. Excuse me.
Oh, sorry,
Chairman, and the same for me is with
right, Councillor
Siddle. Thank you.
I think I'd be surprised if we didn't, to be honest. Right, we move to item 5, which is our first planning application. It's found on pages 11 to 39. There is. Councillor Siddle.
Councillor Morris.
Please call me Chrissy.
Chrissy.
Yes.
Yeah. For the benefit of any applicant who's put forward an application tonight,
yes,
I really think it would be fair during the agenda items if that you didn't have a commentary, and also it would be fair to the officers as well if you're not talking when they're doing their presentation, if you could, please.
Do you know what, Richard? As I keep saying, best in it. He should definitely be the next James Bond. He's very eloquent. He's been very polite. He's talking Chrissy, which is really nice. So, and believe it or not, Richard, I wasn't going to talk during the actual applications because, as you said, that's
the important thing. That's what we're here
when
for.
Rowella starts being argued to me, you know, she literally can go and get it. So,
Okay.
I'll do my best, mate. Obviously, if I've got something to say, as always, I will be saying it. But thank you.
Okay, and thank you for respecting the applicants and respecting the officers and the meeting.
Don't ruin it for Rowella. We just sorted it out. Yeah, we don't need you to ruin it more because, you know, the more you say.
Your behaviour, Councillor Morris, is unacceptable. If it continues, you will have disrupted the meeting, you will have disrupted people's right to have their applications heard,
No, I'm not disrupting it.
and I will stop the meeting.
Sorry, you will what?
I will stop the meeting if you prevent the democratic process taking place. And you will have done that, not anyone else. And now I'm going to go on to item 5.
You're annoyed because he's got more authority than you have. You're just a power freak. You are a complete power freak.
think so.
You just heard me say
I don't
that I
think
will
so.
respect when the agenda items come up. You just heard me say that. Yeah? I was just prepared to shut up, but now you're causing a scene. I'm
Me
wise
causing
to you.
the scene.
I'm wise to you.
It's not me causing the scene.
No,
I'm
it's you
grateful.
causing the
Sorry,
scene.
could you turn your
I
microphone
won't
off,
be
please,
talking
Councillor
right
Siddle?
now.
I am
It's
grateful for
your fault.
Councillor Siddle because he is one of the few you seem to listen to.
Yes, because he's a good man, unlike you.
Well, no, I'm certainly not a good man.
Well,
Right. Thank you. Moving on. We don't have any members of the public here. Thank goodness for that. We do have a presentation from Miss Bowles. Miss Bowles, would you carry on, please?
Sorry, Richard.
Thank you, Chair.
She just dared me, really, didn't she? But it's a challenge now.
Out of respect to the officers.
I mean, there is not an officer in this room I haven't got respect for. So, but, I mean, not being funny, right? I walked in the room, so hello, everyone says hello to me. No one's got respect for me. I've given respect for everything. Poor John, I did poor one again. Yeah, the last one. Yeah, no worries. John, so have you put my one, please, Chris, and I'll appreciate it. He should be. No, he doesn't want to be a drunk.
Could we please get on with this meeting or I will adjourn the business for another day?
Well, Maggie, stop threatening me. You threaten me.
I'm not threatening you. I have no interest in you whatsoever. But I would like...
You are the problem now. Yeah, I'm just about to shut up because Richard and John have asked me to. Right, I'm just about to shut up. And most of you shut up.
I'm chairing the meeting. It's my meeting. I'm asking you to shut up. I know you don't care what I think, but this is the democratic process.
I will not be shutting up for you.
I know you won't. But I don't really care. But I do care for the applicants, for the officers and the members. Members, I only need one hand to go up and I'll call a halt.
I've said that I'll shut up for the applicants, but you keep jabbering on, don't you? If you be quiet, maybe I'll be quiet, because I've already said I will show some respect for the applicants. I always was gonna. That's why I'm getting this done at the start of the meeting before the applications come. Now, if you can button
Would you
it,
like to carry on? If
you could just
find
button it,
possible,
thank you.
Then we'll stop.
Thank you, Chair. So we've got the golf driving range and Burnham Road in Woodham, Mortimer. I do have a verbal update before I start the presentation. The applicant did request if the application could be deferred to the next North West Area Committee. However, there are no considerations that have been brought to the officer's attention or any considerations that would materially affect the report being considered by the Planning Committee tonight. Therefore, it's considered reasonable for the determination of the application to proceed. So, outline planning permission with the matter of access for consideration is sought for the demolition of the building and replacement of the driving range and pitch and putt with 25 new 1 and 2 bedroom single-storey dwellings, public open space and an equipped play area. The application is a resubmission of a previously refused scheme. The amendments to the scheme include the layout of the internal access track, the indicative layout of the dwellings, and previously the proposed bungalows were designed to suit retired and disabled people and would have been marketed solely to the residents of the district for an agreed period prior to being advertised on the open market. Whilst it stated that the dwellings would remain suitable for retired and disabled people, they would not be specifically marketed as such. In addition, the council's policy position has changed as the council can no longer demonstrate a 5-year housing land supply, and the local housing needs assessment has been updated. On to the presentation, we've got the location plan, where you can see the existing building towards the front of the site, and then the driving range and the golf course. We've got this existing elevation, roof and floor plans of the building currently occupying the site. And we've got an indicative layout. Access is a matter for consideration. The existing access point would be retained, and the internal roads and paths would be included in the matter of access, as set out in paragraph 3.1.8 of the report. As you can see, the residential development is indicatively shown on the western side of the site, and the eastern side of the site is shown as an area of public open space containing a children's play area, public car parking, and a treatment plant and surface water basin to the rear of the eastern side. We've got indicative front elevation plans and floor plans, and they aren't to scale and were contained in the design and access statement. But the dwellings shown on the left are a pair of 1-bed detached bungalows, and the dwelling shown on the right is a detached 2-bed bungalow. And then we have photographs to the front of the site. Photographs of the parking area along the top, and then within the site along the bottom, and then photographs of the golfing range and course. Having taken all the material planning considerations into account, it's not considered that the changes to the scheme or council's policy position have overcome the previous concerns raised. The application site is located in an unsustainable location where future occupiers of the proposed dwellings would be heavily reliant on private transport, and the proposed development would fundamentally alter the open character of the southwestern edge of the village and would fail to provide visual enhancement to the wider rural locality. In addition, the proposal would result in the unjustified loss of an employment use, community facility, tourism facility, and sports and leisure facility. It's not been satisfactorily justified or evidenced that the loss of this important and beneficial use complies with the criteria set out in the relevant policies. And lastly, a completed legal agreement. In the absence of a completed legal agreement, the development makes no contribution for affordable housing, RAMs, NHS services, the management and maintenance of public open space, and would fail to secure the provision for residential travel packs. Therefore, the application is recommended for refusal. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Right, members, does anyone have any questions? Would you like to just start the discussion, and then perhaps we'll naturally reach a proposal? Councillor Keys, followed by Councillor White, please.
I do feel a bit sorry for the applicant today, as both his ward members are not here, and I think we'll all agree that both Councillor Durham and Councillor Jarvis always have a great deal to say about their applications in their wards. Now, I've looked and bought the book today because I couldn't find it on it. Is the golf course itself, or the putting range, the greenery, is that classed as brownfield? Or is it just the car park be brownfield?
Through you, Chair, as the site's in a beneficial use and it's currently being used, it wouldn't be considered to be brownfield land at this point.
But the car park would, but not the driving range, the grass area, or none of it?
None of it, because the car park's attached to the use.
No, that's all I have to say, thank you.
Councillor White.
Thank you. But I have a similar question. So if they closed the golf course tomorrow, it would be classed as brownfield, but because it's in use, it's not brownfield, even though it's got bits concreted over and buildings. Have I understood that correctly? While you're looking at that one, if
Might
we...
be one for Mr Johnson.
Yeah, okay, I'll let Mr. Johnson Google that one. Okay, it was just a curiosity, that was all, just listening to it. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Because I thought that if you just built on commercial use buildings, or it was automatically brownfield, but so I could well be wrong on that one. Car parking, if we were mindful to approve, could we put a condition on there were 2 or 3 car parking spaces per bungalow? Obviously, you've got carers and nurses and all sorts of other people going in, and my biggest problem with these is not enough parking. I mean, there was an application I was against in North Fanbridge. It did end up being built because the other members passed it, and actually I was so wrong. It's beautiful, absolutely, and I should have approved it right from day one. So that's why I'm probably not as negative on bungalow estates as what I would be on other things. The other thing is it as near to a bus stop as I think it is? Because we had an application recently that I voted against that was approved at the district committee, which for me had problems with flooding and ecology. But anyway, that got approved. It was reserved matters. Is this the same distance from a bus stop? Because I think that was about half a mile away from a bus stop. Is this one similar, or is it further away? I don't know, just on the sustainability. I thought it had to be within half a mile or a mile of a bus stop. And I wasn't, I know the area very well, but I'm not sure whether it is or is not a bus stop.
What I'm not sure is how often the buses run and whether that's a material consideration.
Through you, Chair, in respect to the bus stop, it's set out in 5.1.12. So it is 0 miles from the application site, but the bus stop is only serviced by the D1 and D2 buses, which provide an extremely limited service to Malden and Mayland.
Actually, they're quite good in Mayland. I live in Mayland. it's every day. It's a 7-day-a-week service, D1 and T2. I think it shut down a bit on COVID. I don't know if it's picked up again or not, but it used to definitely, absolutely be 7-day a week. So maybe COVID's still playing up, but that's just an observation of it. But I do know that because I live in Mayland.
Do you have any answer about change of use?
Thanks, Chairman. This, as Ms Bowles says, this site wouldn't be considered a brownfield site. I mean, if we're looking at definitions, a brownfield site is an area that has been used before and tends to be disused or derelict land. Simply just ceasing the use of a site doesn't make it brownfield. So there is no consideration of this site being a brownfield site. And then notwithstanding that, as the report sets out, and Ms Bowles can answer by direct reference to the relevant paragraphs, if a change of use is proposed, there are requirements within the development plan that the applicant would need to satisfy. The report sets out that the applicant has not submitted the relevant information or evidence that would satisfy the criteria within the plans. Thank you.
Councillor Siddle.
Thank you, Chair. In terms of the open space, I suppose it is at the moment it's not really accessible to the public, is it? With the open space that is being provided, that would actually give more public access to open space. So does that not balance in terms of favour of this application that the space will be open to public?
Through you, Chair, yeah, I have addressed that, and that is I've addressed that in the report, and it is a benefit. However, it has been offset, and I believe, if you just give me a minute to get to where I've mentioned that. Yeah, so within paragraph 5.2.5, it has been noted that it was highlighted that there'd be public open space in the play area, but it's considered that it would be offset by the loss of the employment generating use, the sports and leisure facility, community and tourism facility. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks as well. So there's that yin and yang really with that, isn't there? So we're gaining on one but losing with the other. one of my concerns is around the density. If there were less homes being built on this site, would that be more favourable? Because it is quite dense at the moment in terms of the proximity of the houses to each other. If it was less dense, would that be more favourable?
It's difficult to say without having the plans and assessing what's in front of you and weighing up the benefits of that scheme. So it would be difficult to say at this point if a less dense scheme came in, we'd look at it favourably.
In terms of its proximity, if we look at the first map on the PowerPoint, in terms of its proximity, it is quite close to existing houses in terms of where it is. So, yeah, to me, I know it goes back to the old thing, settlement boundaries and all that. But in terms of that, it is quite close to existing properties, and it sort of borders those, and it does have a footpath that links into the village. I know you say in the report that there aren't that many services in Woodham, but there's houses there already. So I've had this debate with officers before about facilities and sustainability. So the fact that it is close to those existing properties, does that count at all in its favour?
Through you, Chair. That has been taken into account in the assessment and accessibility of it. The presence of other existing dwellings wouldn't justify or necessarily justify another development. And I do stand by my assessment in my report regarding the accessibility of the site.
Okay, thanks for
Thank
that.
you, Chair.
My big concern about this particular development is around Section 106 and the fact that there doesn't seem to be any contributions coming forward. And my other big concern with this is there is no affordable housing allocated. So at the moment, all the houses, none of them are allocated for affordable. Is that correct?
Through you, Chair. No, they are. They have indicated a willingness to do
there's
affordable
nothing.
units, but the agreement hasn't been forthcoming, so we don't have a signed legal agreement in front of us. But they have said they're willing to provide affordable units.
That being willing is not good enough for me. So I think if the applicant provide that sort of information to us or bring forward with that sort of information in an application, then that might change my view. But at the moment, just being willing to me is not good enough. And I think, my particular view is therefore I agree with your recommendation.
Thank you, Chairman. Just to confirm that, obviously in reason refusal 4, which sets out those matters, it is the fact that there is no legal agreement, and willingness of itself,
Yes.
in a way, doesn't really mean a great deal in the planning world.
Councillor Morley?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Yeah, that was what I was just saying about the density of it, really, and also the willingness, answered my question, really. Willingness on its own isn't enough to, it actually has to be put forward. But, I mean, if they could just thin it out a little bit, would that have helped? Or is it really deeper than that, providing more sort of social housing? Thank you.
Through you, Chair. Obviously there are 4 reasons for refusal, and it's not just the visual impact or the density that's the only issue. So there is deeper issues, as in my report, as the assessment, and thinning it out wouldn't necessarily, although I couldn't definitively say, but it wouldn't necessarily overcome all the issues. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I'll just,
Oh,
so just to re-emphasize again, the starting point of the assessment is the plan. The plan provides protection for land which is in use. It also provides the opportunity for where there's land not in use or land that is derelict. This is a land in use. I think the report sets out that no evidence has been submitted. I mean, I'd be concerned if, because there is a proposal for housing and, okay, there isn't in this case, but there may be an offer for affordable housing, that in itself is enough for a site to gain planning permission. I mean, if you logically talk that assessment, you can roll that out to any sort of site. What about the justification? These are set out within the plan. They must satisfy these criteria. And I think the report clearly sets out that no assessment to provide evidence to the contrary about the existing use, its viability, etc., has been submitted. So that's something we must not lose sight of. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Morley.
Yeah, just one thing. It does seem to be, we've been through this before a bit, where if it seems that if there's good employment and using local labour, it seems to be they like to keep it that way rather than perhaps, do away with that and just put houses up. Is that the thinking as well? Thank you.
That's a fair assessment. Would you agree, Mr. Johnson?
Yes, we take on board a whole range of
Same as
considerations. Yes, thank you.
Yeah. But I mean, the thing about the affordable housing is that it's a requirement. It's one of our policies. It's not a bonus. Extra might be a consideration, but the standard percentage is the standard percentage, and they would be unlikely to get permission without at least that much. Some members, Councillor White, I'm sorry, I nearly missed you.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I mean, mine was, can we approve it if we were mindful to with the condition that the affordable housing is put in, or is that not in our gift?
I think that's a bridge too far myself.
Yeah.
Mr. Johnson?
No, we could not do that. We have to deal with the matter that's in front of us.
We would need heads of terms at least, yeah. Sometimes we can leave the detail and delegate that, but not starting from nowhere. Councillor Siddle.
Chairman, so I would like to put forward the recommendation that we go for refusal as per the officer's recommendation.
Thank you. Seconder? Councillor Councillor Keys just beat you, Councillor Morley. Okay, could we take a vote on that, please? Everybody show their hands. I'd rather do a show of hands, except for Councillor Fleming, who is abstaining. Officer's recommendation to refuse. Yeah, that's everyone except Councillor Fleming's abstention that she already told us about. Okay, thank you, members. Right, the next one, item 6, is Latchingdon. Again, no public speakers. Not that that's a surprise. There's no one here. So could we have your report, please, Ms. Barnes?
Thank you, Chair. So planning permission is sought for a single-storey rear extension. We've got the location plan and the block plan, which shows the extension coloured in red. We've got the existing floor plans and the proposed floor plans and roof plan. The existing elevations and the proposed elevations. And there was a previous single-storey rear extension approved, and this extension proposed is only 0.6 metres deeper than the previously approved extension. We've got photos to the front of the site, photos which show the rear extensions on the neighbouring properties and views of the neighbour to the east. The proposed extension, by reason of its location, scale and design, would not harm the appearance or character of the host dwelling or locality. In addition, the development does not detrimentally impact the amenities of adjoining or nearby residents, the provision of amenity space or car parking. Therefore, it is recommended for approval. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councillor Siddle, that was quick.
Yeah, I'd like to put forward that we recommend this for approval.
Just to note for anyone who's listening, the only reason it's here, it would normally be delegated, it's a member of staff, and a member of staff or a member of the council's application has to be agreed or otherwise has to be decided at one level above where it normally would be. So can we have a show of hands on that, please? Right, that's unanimous. Agree the officer's recommendation to approve. Thank you very much, members. And item 7, final planning application, which is 5 Corners Maypole Road. Again, no members of the public, so Miss Bowles, please.
Thank you, Chair. So outline planning permission with the matter of access for consideration is sought for a new detached dwelling. Here we've got the location plan with the site outlined in red and the land within the applicant's ownership outlined in blue. We've got an aerial view which shows the site in relation to the wider area, including the settlement boundary and the green dots or circles that you see. That shows the services and facilities within Wickham Bishops. Sorry, there we go. So we've got the indicative site plan. The access is shown in blue and that is a matter for consideration. And then we have photos of the site. So we've got the application site there and the photos of the wider area. Having regard to recent decisions taken within the area, the application site is considered to be within a reasonably accessible location just beyond the settlement boundary of Wickham Bishops and is currently within a residential use as garden land. The principle of a dwelling at the application site is considered acceptable given the location and current residential use. Whilst the application is outlined in nature, it is considered that a development which is acceptable in terms of visual impact, impact on neighbouring amenity, level of car parking provision and private amenity space could be achieved at the site. Therefore, the application is recommended for approval. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Members, questions, discussion? Councillor Keys, please.
Thank you, Chairman. I called the application in and it's for approval, but it's come to committee because of, I can't get the terminology right because I can't find, could I ask Hannah Bowles, please?
Yeah, departure from the local plan.
Departure from the local plan.
Thank you, Chair.
And I think we're all fully aware that Maypole Road has been heavily built up on either side as you go through. Mersey Homes are in the process of just finishing a big development, a matter of a few hundred yards just up the road. A few years ago, there was a new house built next door to this one that was in for an application. On the left hand opposite, well, it's not Millionaires Row, I suppose you could class it, is very big houses either side of the road as you go in and out of Wickham Bishops. And yeah, that's all I have to say, and I'm open to listen to what other members.
Councillor White.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I just had a query. It was quite a big house. I went through the slides quite quickly. There is a gap for like wheelbarrows and bins and things to the back garden, isn't there? It went past quite fast, so I didn't actually get to see it. And I just wanted to make sure that there was a way of getting into the back garden, because some of these big houses, they don't have adequate access.
Through you, Chair, the application is outline, so the width of the dwelling isn't confirmed at this point, and we have actually
So there is that's the photo I wanted, and even though it's indicative, there is a space both sides of the house to get into the back garden, because my pet hate is when you can't actually get the bins in and out or anything like that. So no, that's good. That's all I wanted to see. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Sorry, Chair, just to be clear though, that's not really a consideration at this point in time, because it is indicative. And as Ms. Bowles pointed out, there is an informative to just remind the applicant that notwithstanding the officer's recommendation, the design of the building there just gives an idea of what could be put on the site. All the other bits and pieces, were this to be supported, would be what we'd consider under a detailed application.
Thank you. Anyone else, members? Can I look for a proposal? Okay, well, Councillor White beat you to it. Okay. Councillor Keys already seconded it.
I think Mr. Morley wants that one. Mr. Morley.
Okay, members, can we take a vote on that, please? Those in favour? Okay, that's unanimous again. Thank you very much, members. You'll be delighted to hear that the next item is items of business the chairman has agreed are urgent, and there are none. So I close the meeting at 8:05. Thank you very much, members and officers. If you could leave using this door, I think that's still the